Okay, we're live. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I have to remember where we're at. We're so many places at once. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we invite you to visit our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Don't forget to check out the contest button. That's where all the free stuff is.
I didn't even comb my hair today. How bad is it?
It's a mess over here. You got a big hole right there. But if it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother me.
There you go.
My phone fell down. Sorry, that was unprofessional.
Is that better?
Oh my gosh, fix your hair or put a hat on or something. Babe.
It's Halloween hair.
Oh my gosh. You do look like a crazy killer.
I look terrifying.
No, you look like you haven't brushed your hair.
I look like Brad Pitt from World War Z.
Oh my gosh, no. Fix your hair.
Look, watch.
All right, friends.
Watch.
No. Okay, friends, we have a good variety of movies to talk about today. Fix your head. Oh my gosh. Lord have mercy. It's a mess. It doesn't matter. I mean, if that's what you want to put out there, you go for it.
Hey, I'll allow you to look like that. You can allow me to look like
Anyways, thank you for joining us. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, send bubbles, send hearts, send smiles, whatever it is you do on social medias. All right, are you ready to talk about movies?
Yeah,
we've got a lot.
I have a couple other hairs on here that aren't on that list, but I could throw.
Just throw them out there, and I'll try to do the best I can.
I'll keep up with you. I'll throw them off as kind of quick. So
okay.
We didn't have a show last week because she was traveling, and it just became too much, and so we didn't get to talk about last week's stuff. So we're going to try to compact it. But we're trying not to dwell. A lot of the stuff I saw by myself, so it's stuff I can kind of zoom through.
Okay.
And then we can dive into because there's a couple franchise things we're talking about.
Okay. So we may do one you one us, one you one us.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
So first, tell me about this creepy movie because I'm just not.
Terrifier.
I am not about this at all because I don't like clowns.
And I actually think you would like this movie. Because it is super gory. It's over the top, insane to the point of laughing gory. Okay. You know. So if you don't know the history of Terrifier, Terrifier 2 has followed Terrifier 1. But Terrifier 1, which is oops, I just lost my thing there. The movie is actually spun out of an anthology film called All Hallows Eve.
Okay.
That's where we first meet Art the Clown. Art the Clown, if I remember correctly, at All Hallows Eve was kind of the connecting story in between all the random stories.
I gotcha.
And was really no rhyme or reason. He's just a guy dressed as a crazy clown. He never speaks. He doesn't make a sound at all.
That's kind of creepier.
He doesn't even make a sound. He doesn't scream. He doesn't growl. He makes no sounds. He's more of a mime. And
she wants a veggie straw.
I know.
Eat your vegetables.
He's more mime-like. So that character was popular. They made Terrifier. Which was fun, ironic because when Terrifier 2 came out, I was all excited and I realized I'd never seen the first one. I'd seen All Hallows Eve, but I think because I knew
you thought it was part of the
Art is the cover. Art the Clown is on the cover of All Hallows Eve, so I think in my mind I saw it, and then I was like, wait a minute, I actually haven't. So thankfully, it was on Freevee or one of those.
Yeah,
I was able to just watch it or something.
That's all our snacks. See?
So I did a double feature. So Terrifier 2, basically, it's literally a clown that targets people and then he runs around and kills people. That's pretty much it. It's not overly complicated. Clown. It's a little more of a lower budget, but they spend most of their budget on the effects, which is good. This one does go a little more over the top of it adds like a supernatural element to it, trying to make a heaven and hell aspect to try to explain him a little bit better. Huh. I love this movie. I thought it's ridiculous. It's insane. If you like slashy gore filled ridiculous insanity, then this movie is for you.
Okay.
There's not a lot I can tell you about it. It's got some great gory moments, some creepiness to it. It's not scary so much as it's just like, it's like watching Halloween or Jason and that kind of stuff, but it's not as scary as him like jumping out. It's more gore fest.
Right. Okay.
So if you haven't seen Terrifier, look for it online. It's like I said, I think I watched it on Freevee or something. It was free.
That's cool.
And then Terrifier 2 is on digital and limited release and stuff, I think now already. Okay. Check. It was in theaters, so I did a limited release. So I'm sure it'll probably be digital pretty soon. So if you like those kind of films, watch All Hallows Eve, which is great. Then Terrifier, which is fun. And then Terrifier 2, which is also fun.
All right.
If you don't like these kind of movies, then don't watch it.
There you go.
Problem solved. Moving on.
All right.
Make it a quick
I'm going out of order.
That's fine.
I'm going here. because I do want to talk about this movie. Okay. So this movie is called Mystery Spot. I will also post a link to our review in the comments. What is the movie about?
Mystery Spot is it basically follows a group of people that go to this hotel or a motel. Actually, not a hotel; it's a motel.
Motel.
Yeah, it's not a Holiday Inn though. It's kind of in nowhere, and they're kind of it's in this thing called a mystery spot, which were used to be like an old side of the road,
like a sideshow.
Yeah, not sideshow, but like a
roadside attraction.
Yeah, it's like different things they had, and so it's this group of people, and they're all dealing with something.
Correct.
And you don't know if they're connected, but it's under the guise of there's a guy there trying to make a movie. So he's essentially rented out this room, and he's holding auditions at this place.
Right.
So it's people coming back and forth the auditions. They're all kind of connected, and then there's some other mysterious people, and so you don't really know what's real, what's not, kind of thing. What's even cooler is a friend of mine named Mel House, who did a movie Closet Space and some other stuff like that. He directed this movie as well. So I got to interview him in our interview.
Is your interview up here? Which one?
Yes, it's the second one over that one up
this
there.
One? Okay, thanks.
So our interview's on our website. She'll share it. So it's interesting hearing about them making the movie, which we'll talk a little bit. But anyway, so this is an independent film.
Yes.
And I know that some people I don't know why you say that. I've had people ask me that. Why do you tell people it's an independent film? Because you have to look at it through a different vision.
Yes.
Because you have to take, to me anyway, I think I have to take off these glasses, put these glasses on to watch it, because I have to understand they didn't have the same budget. They didn't have the same time. They didn't have the same things. That doesn't make an excuse to make a bad movie.
Correct.
It's just, to me, it makes it a little more understanding for certain shortcuts you may have to take. And also some of the impressive stuff they pull off that they don't have, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because like someone this week, I was telling them about our show, and they were asking, what's your favorite movie recently? What's your favorite scary movie? But, and I bring up a big blockbuster that I think right now is kind of the top of my top 10 so far for the year. And they're like, well, is that all you watch? I'm like, oh no, we watch everything. Like good stuff, bad stuff, independent things, foreign films, animated. We watch everything. And I think there's nothing left. Go sit down.
It's empty.
It's empty. Go sit down.
It's empty.
She just wants to be on the show. I think, like you said, you look at it a little bit differently, and I think we do, especially since we've done film before. Yeah. We've done our own little movies.
Once you've been in a film or worked on a film, you don't have to be starred on it, but once you've worked on a film of any sort that has any moderate attempt to be a real thing, not just somebody with a video camera, but people that actually are trying to create something real, you have a newfound respect of the work that goes into creating 1 minute of footage.
Correct.
And that I'm glad I did that stuff before I became a reviewer, because it gave me a respect factor. Like you mentioned that you told somebody, we always try to find the bright spots of anything I watch.
Yes.
Like there's some trash stuff we watched, but I'll try to say it looked pretty.
We try to find one good thing.
And I also don't believe in bashing the actors that are in the movies. I might say their performances weren't great, but not attacking the individual, which some people.
Well, this movie, I've been marinating and really thinking about this movie.
You didn't really like it when we finished it.
I didn't. I was just like,
you're like, well, that was something.
But now that I've thought about it,
you said something kind of funny. You were like, it was a mystery while we watched that, or something.
Like this was a mystery.
That's what it was. This was a mystery.
But you know what? Now that I've sat with it, you can tell your friend or tell them watch this part of the video. I am actually really finding it so powerful and impactful now. Because it's loss. It's people dealing with loss, but coming from 3 different stories, like the guy who has now isolated himself and is afraid to do anything. The one person who thinks their life's just completely over, it's not even worth it. Another person who's seeking revenge, and then another person who kind of knows, but they're like, like they've thrown it over there, like it doesn't even matter anymore. The loss doesn't matter. So you're coming at this story from different angles, and I like that it's an independent film. I feel very in touch with it. It's very small. There's like 6 people in the entire thing. And I feel like we are brought in more to the story because it is small.
Yeah.
I like movies where even if it's a big movie where you just have 5 people, like that movie with the 4 people at a table, that to me is the most impactful.
Which is
kind of
funny
film.
Because when we met, that annoyed you.
That annoyed me.
Because I remember us talking about the movie.
It was too real.
I remember us talking about the movie. I think it was Trespass.
Yeah.
That I love with Ice Cube and Ice-T and the whole thing's inside that one place. You're like, it's ridiculous. They didn't go anywhere. They were in that one place the whole time.
I know, but I think too, because then after that I did so much theater.
Yeah.
That I now find the value of the smallness.
Well,
and the realness.
I talked to him when I interviewed him about shooting that movie in a hotel room because that's a small space to work from, and rough. Have to, there's a lot having to go with a lot of shots on the person's face. Only you can't do a lot of dual shots unless they're sitting on the same side of the room. Right. Most people that sit in the hotel room don't sit side by side like this to talk. They sit across from each other.
Yeah.
And a lot of going back and forth and resetting and things like this. And in the interview, it was interesting when you talk about how you felt all the loss and stuff. That's the place it was written from as well. He wrote this movie, I don't know, it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Wow. Because it came at a time where he had made a movie. It was kind of, his career wasn't it wasn't going away, but he was trying to find the next project. And at the same time he was having a kid, and at the same time he lost his regular job. Yeah. And it was like dealing with loss and dealing with all this stuff. And so he was writing a different movie, and then and he was also obsessed with these kind of mystery spot things as a kid. Yes. And so it all kind of came together.
We stop at all these weird places.
Yeah, it all kind of came together as something different that he finally put together.
And I think the other thing too is there's an element of supernatural whatever in it. And now I think about, I mean, I guess it makes sense because we don't really know. We assume what will happen when someone dies, but we don't really know.
Well, I mentioned to him how I felt the movie had it doesn't give you an answer. Mm-mm. It has a very, very audience come to your own interpretation of what just happened. Yeah. And I asked if that was by design, and he said yes, because he likes those kind of movies. It makes you think, makes you talk about it. Yeah. And he said it's funny on some of the screenings they've done in Q&As. He's like, there's had people pop up with their version that was way better than what his idea was. And I'm like, just take it and run with it.
That was exactly right. Yeah. No, and I think some of the things that happen and the things we see, I totally get it now. I have my own assumption of what that is and why they present themselves that way. Yeah. But I totally also believe that just because someone's dead doesn't mean they're not still there or can't still present themselves. But I'm open to all that.
Yeah, it also depends on your visual of not only faith, but belief in those
in life or
the ghosts and afterlife and all those kind of things. I mean, but at the same time, it's the feeling of people, even if you don't believe in the ghost,
they're never really gone.
Is you still believe or have them in your heart or whatever. And there's a lot of little nuances here that you can read into in different ways, which I thought were compelling. Yeah. It's not an exciting movie, but it's not meant to be an exciting movie. No. It's as you like to always say, it's a talkie. There's not a lot of it's not a scary movie. I think from the poster especially, I think I was expecting a little more terror, and so it took me a little bit as I'm watching it to kind of.
I love this poster.
I was like, is anything going to happen in this movie at first? And then I realized, oh, okay, I see what we're doing here. And once I realized what was happening and what we were dealing with, the poster is in my opinion, I forgot to ask him about this, but the poster gives you the visual of a terrifying film. Mm-hmm. Right? It gives you this feeling of something evil. Mm. And when you watch the movie and you have that poster in your mind, I think that digs deeper into what you figure out of what your interpretation of it is. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well, the poster makes it seem like it's something evil. So is something evil happening? And when it does happen, you're like, I don't know if I should be worried about these people. Did something bad happen to them? Was it okay? Was it, you kind of experience it.
You have to figure it out. I think.
But again, it's like one of those that, and I wish more people were open to the joy of movies.
I agree.
Because movies like this, you understand, this is a labor of love. This was somebody who made a movie on his own. I mean, he had financial backers. He had a crew. This isn't just him with a video camera. He's a real filmmaker. I think one of his biggest movies was, oh my God, Witchcraft. I think there was a movie called Witchcraft. He did like Witchcraft 13. It was an entire series of them, I believe it was. And then he's done, I met him at Texas Frightmare when he was promoting Closet Space years ago.
Oh, wow.
And that's how long it's been. So whatever year Closet Space came out was the year that I originally met him. 2008.
2008.
Yeah.
So much.
And he's produced a lot of different stuff. Did he produce Sweatshop? I love that movie.
Yes.
Yes. So he's done a lot of stuff. So like this was an interesting thing too, because he mentioned this was one of the first ones where he had people, even though they still had a tight budget, they still had a small crew. He had people like rearranging sets and doing stuff, and he didn't have to do everything. He's like,
that's a big deal.
He's like, they were like making a movie, telling him to go away and direct. And he's like, they come back and everything is set up and moved and like it should be. And he goes, it was such a great experience. But yeah, I think you can feel it if you can watch movies like this, get past it looking sometimes not very expensive, and get past maybe some of the actors aren't as great as you're expecting, and just see what these people built. See what they put
that's
together.
why I'm telling you, it's now really harmonized with me emotionally, and I get it now on a deeper level. Yeah. So thank you. I had to sit with it for a while.
And fun fact, him, his wife, and his child are in the movie.
Oh,
his child is the little girl in the movie, which I thought it was, but I haven't seen her in person. I've seen pictures of her because they live in a different place, but I hadn't seen her in so long. I'm like, I think that's her. Then him and his wife both appear in photographs. He's the guy's husband in that one photo.
Oh.
And he totally forgot he had even made that photo.
That's so funny.
And then his wife appears in another photo.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, but the other interesting thing about this, and I want to point this out, is because the importance of connections.
Mm-hmm. Always.
He made like Closet Space and these other movies, and then he would always go to these conventions, set them up, promote the movies, sell the DVDs, do everything independently, do it himself. So over the years, because he's done all these conventions, he's become friends with people like Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, Debbie Rochon. I believe Debbie Rochon is one of them. She's in this movie. Lisa Wilcox, who's in one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and she's also in this movie as well. And I did ask him how much has that helped you as far as being able to get people, because if you look into his films, sometimes he has bigger name people in his films, and he was saying like, it's actually helped. And like there's a scene in this movie where Lisa Wilcox and the lead guy do a scene together, and he said after they did the scene, she goes, this told him, she goes, these pages seem familiar. This was a film he wrote for her 10 years ago that ended, and Robert Englund was going to be in that film either way, and then the financing fell through. That was the same pages he used. He goes, because I wrote this for you years ago and you've read it.
That's so funny.
It's interesting how, you meet people and you never know where it's going to take you, and especially some of these celebrities that they're not always not approachable, but you can't be that guy.
Yeah.
Because they get crap all the time,
Don't be too weird.
So anyways, Mystery Spot is now starting to hit. I think it's on Tubi and digital and some other thing. I think it's Tubi.
Go find it.
But it's starting to pop up. I've seen him post on them. If you haven't, just search Mystery Spot. Check it out. Give it a chance. You like it, you don't like it, but if nothing else, support independent
film. Come on, man.
Because
let me see.
Every film that you love that's got a big budget has a filmmaker that started at an independent film.
For real.
So
it's on Tubi. It's on Tubi. Yeah.
Sweet.
Go watch it.
Check it out.
All right, so let's go in a different direction. Let's go right here. I did not get to see this. I'm so upset that I have not seen Lyle Crocodile.
I know you were supposed to go with me, but it was just getting too much before you had to leave.
I know. I had my trip. So
I went to the screening, and I was not looking forward to Lyle
Crocodile.
I wasn't looking forward to it because I thought, oh, that looks awful. I just didn't care.
It's just not a you movie.
So I kind of, for those before everybody goes, of course he doesn't like those kind of movies. I love Paddington. Yes. I loved Paddington 2 before Nicolas Cage said it was cool to watch it.
Yes.
So I kind of went into this movie.
It's kind of the perfect movie.
And this movie is very much
Paddington.
Kind of the Paddington, but it's a musical, which I didn't know. That kind of annoyed me.
Yeah, I'm not a musical.
I'm not a musical person, but I can deal with them if I know that's what I'm getting. I knew there was going to be singing because they cast Sam Mendes as Lyle Crocodile.
Okay.
His name's not Lyle Crocodile. Lyle the Crocodile. But I didn't know that's all he did. So when he communicates in the movie, all he does is sing.
Oh, goodness.
He does not ever speak.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
So
like me, like living with me.
Yes, which made it twice as annoying.
I'm so sorry.
So basically, it's another one of those kind of films that there's no explanation of how he can sing, why he can sing, and it's not necessary. We don't need a backstory of why can this. He's just a special crocodile, right? And it basically follows his family, moves into this house in New York, and it was previously owned by a Javier Bardem, who was like a
zoologist.
No. He was a performer, and he was trying to find that thing to make him famous. And he did animal acts a lot, and he found Lyle at a pet store, realized he could sing, so he trained him and all this stuff. But Lyle also had stage fright, so it kind of killed his whole business, and he left. But Lyle stayed living in the attic.
He left them there.
So when these people move in, I'm not sure how nobody ever saw this full-size crocodile in their house. But again, we treat it like Hulk's pants and we let it go.
Yes.
This family moves in, and of course the madness ensues because they start finding them and whatever, So
that's fun.
It is a fun movie. I didn't hate the movie.
It's fun.
It, like I said, it annoyed me a little more because the singing stuff, but it was really hard for me just because it was all over the place at times on some of the story. It's too many people accepted the thing too fast for me. Like, they see a crocodile, first of all, then you see a crocodile wearing a scarf, then it's singing, and nobody seemed to have a problem with this.
Like this with the scarf.
Like they did, but then they didn't, So, but at the same time, you have to step back and say, okay, it's based on a series of children's books.
Correct.
And it's not meant to be a groundbreaking story of this mutated alligator that has the stories of science and histories and all these things. It's just a stupid crocodile that sings in a family and people kind of finding their way and finding their thing. And I think it's a movie that I think you will love it.
I think so too. Is he helping the family somehow?
Hey, kind of. He's not intentionally like helping them. He's still trying to find his own way.
Aww.
But he kind of unintentionally helps them with their own individual things because that's how he connects with them through song and stuff.
Yes.
And so when he starts singing with them, he sees the stuff that they don't like, stuff that like maybe the mom gave up doing for a different thing, and he kind of gets her back to doing it. And there's different stuff, and there's the crazy neighbor that can't stand them, and
of course,
so it's a kind of a generic film on the surface.
There's different,
but it's one of those that I think if you like it, you'll love it.
I'm gonna love it.
I can't imagine somebody would hate the movie, but I can see people that do because some people are just going to hate everything.
Yeah, they're haters.
If you like Paddington, it's very much the same exact structure. It's not as good as Paddington in any way, shape, or form because he doesn't wear a raincoat or eat marmalade. But but it's a fun movie. I honestly think upon a rewatch, I would probably enjoy it more.
Okay.
Because now I know what I'm getting.
Do you think the baby would be entertained?
I think she would probably not. Yet. Okay. I think the little
even
older,
with the singing?
Maybe the older kids would enjoy it because there's so much live action stuff. It's in just in my mind, it's not as visually exciting.
Okay.
Like the Vibrant or whatever. The alligator looks fine. There's time. It's kind of.
I don't know. She gets enthralled by singing sometimes.
You never know.
We can try.
They're singing dance numbers, and everybody seems to be having a blast making this movie, and that does come through the screen pretty well. Good. So it's a fine movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I honestly think, like I said, if I was to revisit, it would grow on me.
Okay, well, we're going to have to watch it together.
All right. Well, I'll watch it again.
All right. Lyle Crocodile. Is it still in theaters?
I believe it is a theatrical film.
All right. We're going here.
All right.
Complete opposite direction. Do you have any visual aids to support you today?
No, I'm healthy.
No, for this movie.
Oh, I don't, but I can talk about it really quick.
Okay.
So
where is it?
It'll be over there, and the H is in that vicinity right here.
Oh gosh, there's so much.
Right there where the.
Let me grab some things off the shelf.
There's a whole bunch of. It's a whole Hellraiser section. So next one's we're going to talk about Hellraiser. It's right directly in front of your face. Now,
how many of these are there?
There's a lot of them, and I'm missing one, I think. So throughout the Hellraiser, there was like 9 sequels, I think, and then 2 of them did not. All of them had Doug Bradley, except for 2.
Okay.
And neither one of them were that good.
Oh, this one with.
Do I have both of the 2?
I did not care for that man.
No, that's Bradley. So I'm missing the last one they made.
The last one, yeah, I did not care for that.
Yeah, well, from my understanding, I believe the last one was made. Why did you bring me Hellfest?
Oh, sorry, I got excited.
You also brought me stuff that like multiples. So like this one.
Okay, let's go through them.
This was actually meant to be the Scarlet Box collection, but they just sent me the discs.
Oh.
So this is actually part 1, 2, and 3 in this, but I kept it because it's a special edition. This is actually part 1 and part 2, a different release.
Okay.
And this is a 4-pack that has 3, 4.
Oh my goch, I hate when they do this. How do you build a collection?
I didn't mind this because this is 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And then you got 7, 8, 9. I think there's one more after this.
Okay. Anyways, obviously we've watched all of these movies. Okay.
Yeah, and most of them past 1 and 2 are not good. It's just. I mean, I love them, But again, my abstract love of horror comes not always if the movie is good. It's also just getting to see the iconic character kill things and show up. And Doug Bradley's always awesome. That's why the last two aren't that great, because it's not Doug Bradley, which is the irony and the fear of the new one.
Yes, because he's not in this.
So,
and it's more of is it androgynous? Like, yes. It's not male.
So here's kind of a history for the people that don't know or been complaining.
They've been upset that it's more female
because it's played by it should be a female, but I believe she's
I think they identify as they.
I think she identifies as a female. I believe.
Oh, does she?
But she is a transgender, if I'm not mistaken. She's actually on my
transgender.
She's on the L Word.
Oh, okay, transgender female. We'll go with that.
So I already knew her from that show, so I was excited when they cast her. But like everybody else,
Odessa.
But I was like, Jamie Clayton, I believe is her name. But at the same time, I was like, can anybody replace Doug Bradley? Doug Bradley is so awesome.
Jamie Clayton.
Yes, there she is.
Adam Faison. I'm going.
Jamie Clayton is the Pinhead one.
Okay, good.
Because technically, Pinhead is not the character's name.
Correct.
It was not ever said in the movies.
No. It's just what
Clive
they look
Barker
like.
hates it. And if you don't know, Clive Barker is this whole thing with Hellraiser is based on a Clive Barker novella called The Hellbound Heart.
Okay.
And in the book, the priest character, which is Pinhead, is described as androgynous with a female voice. So the Doug Bradley deep voice vibe that we all love is not how the book was meant to be. At the same time, Clive Barker directed the original Hellraiser movie. So he made the choice to cast him and change him and do this.
Right.
So with this new movie that's been some back and forth of people making a series, making a new movie, whatever. This new movie, Jamie Clayton's version of Pinhead, the priest, whatever you want to refer to him, is actually more on accuracy to the book.
To the book, yeah.
And the Cenobites this time around have way less leather on.
I'm loving the Cenobites. I was just concerned were they going to have my favorite one, and they do.
Chatterbox?
The chatter.
Have you seen any of the
I love that one. That's my favorite.
I keep seeing things pop up on Facebook. It might be connected to some of the sites I'm part of. A whole bunch of behind the scenes shots of the Cenobite, like all the actors dressed as the Cenobites, and they're all like,
I mean, because it's so cool. I mean, I like this look of them too.
So this new one is a remake / reimagining of the original Hellraiser. It is not the same story. It's a whole different story. It's kind of just rebooting, but this is the first film that's really not connected to the long running series.
I have to watch this later.
I was concerned like everyone else. Can you redo it? Can you change the person?
And can you make it good?
And is it going to be good being on Hulu?
Correct.
Now that was kind of lost on Hulu because they pulled off Predator.
I know.
With Prey.
But I was putting the slides together. I'm like, Hellraiser on Hulu. That is something that you never thought. And
it's a Disney movie.
It's Disney. So I'm reading an article right now. Is the priest the newest Disney princess?
Yeah, well, here's what's funny is people have lost their minds.
So bizarre
that there's a misconception about this whole Disney connection that everybody thinks that because Disney bought Fox, oh my God, now Disney's putting out all this stuff. Disney has always put out this kind of stuff under different umbrellas.
Correct.
The original Judge Dredd movie with Sylvester Stallone is a Disney movie, but it's under whatever company they had that's their sub company put out all their R-rated whatever. They didn't have the Disney brand, but now they own Predator and Aliens, and
that was a good movie, guys.
Hulu or whatever. And so that is a funny thing is when I get screening links sent to me, and it says you have a new Disney screening link, and I look at it, it's Hellraiser, and I'm like,
I know, and we watched, and there's a little Disney thing at the bottom, Disney disclaimer, and I'm like, this is so bizarre because this movie is really dark. It's really sadistic.
It is.
It is bloody.
It's not scary.
Not scary, just really bloody.
It's not as
which I like.
It's not as graphic. It is, but it's not as much as I expected.
Because I feel like the original
one is
scary.
Is a slow burn creepiness with the body getting all that skin ripped off and it comes back.
Yeah.
And what I will say is I was very surprised how damn good this movie was.
It was a great movie.
This is another case, just like Prey, where somebody went in and kind of understood what they were trying to do with these characters.
Yeah.
Is it Doug Bradley? No.
But that's
is she awesome as Pinhead? Yes.
Yeah.
She is amazing at the character. Even Doug Bradley posted about how good he thought she was.
Good.
So he's already given her his blessing and his praise, which would I'm assuming to her probably means everything, to be able to take on such an iconic character. But her visual look to me looks way better than the original.
It looks
Pinhead.
really good.
Don't make me wrong. I love the way Pinhead looks. I've always thought he was one of the most badass movie horror icons of all time.
Yeah.
But her new look is just cool.
Because the pins are very, I don't know.
Look like there's more of them. There's closer together.
And they just look really good. I don't know. I mean,
everything you mentioned, everything looked way cleaner.
Correct. And even the Cenobites now with their skin ripped.
And rolled on stuff.
It's so cool
looking. I think it helps that they ditched the leather approach.
It was too much. It was covering too much.
Well, that's the thing is that was a smart way of doing it. Back then is put the leather stuff on them.
So
leather comes creepy, but you only have to certain things.
Up here, yeah.
This when you have full leg
full
pieces
body
off
prosthetics, with less leather. And I think you can see what you like. One of them was like the lungs, and one was the face, and so you can see the different.
Yeah, there's
always
a theme of their sin or something.
Yes, that had to do with.
It's all about pain and suffering. So
yes, so
I really dug the movie.
I did.
Yes, the story and stuff is kind of a by the numbers of stuff you get in these kind of genre films. I thought the girl that was the lead, I thought she was really good.
Yes.
She had to play a lot of emotions
of mentioned at the
drug issues, personal issues, loss and acceptance and fear. I thought she did a good job.
And I think this is especially by the numbers because if you're familiar with the box, then you know that each level takes you deeper. This one though, I did like that the box reconfigured.
Yes.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
Where's your box?
Cube?
Where's your cube?
My cube. She won't let me have a cool version of the cube.
No.
So she got me a Rubik's Cube version.
Yes, because I'm scared of this.
But I'm going to configure it right now.
Anyways, but each time it changes shape into a new configuration that's taking you deeper and deeper to different levels. And I like that we find that each level has a name that correlates with what it is that person's really seeking. Oh, you solved the cube. Push the button.
Yeah,
it's just
I
so
agree.
Cool.
It changed. It gets bigger. It gets smaller. It changes, and it does. It made it feel more dangerous.
Yes,
as opposed to just this. It opens. It closes. It pushes the button,
and then
it was still always cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's just it would be that showing that this little thing can do so much more gives it a little more of like, oh, what is that going to be? You know, and then they did go in a little more depth of the different levels of hell and the different levels of what the cube does and what that torture is going to be. So where the old stuff was just like, you know, I've set sights to show you in the pain, and then you just were ripped up with the hooks, and there's no real rhyme or reason to why, not to why, but the reasoning behind they're doing this specific thing to you. You know, like there's the one movie, I don't remember which one it is, but where there's a DJ that gets tortured. Now he's got like CDs in his mouth and on his head, and you know, so you understand the connection, but it's like, this is depending on where it's sending you.
I wonder if they will do new ones of these people.
I'm assuming that if it did well, and I think it did very, very well.
Because we have allusions to their realm. And, you know, one of the old movies were in the realm was that very blue hallway.
Yeah.
Blue, whatever.
Just had chains hanging everywhere, the easy way to make hell.
Yeah, so who knows? I really dug this movie.
I have this new view of how they deal with horror, because I think there's been enough things now that have showcased that not everything has to be a rated R movie.
Correct.
You know, this has to be rated R. You can't do Hellraiser as a PG movie, obviously.
Correct.
But being able to do stuff like Chucky as a TV series is phenomenal, and it's bloody and it works, and it's like, okay, I can see them expanding this, and that's the series is connected to the movies, you know, and the same thing with, you know, like Prey that we mentioned earlier, taking a Predator variation and doing it with this Hulu stuff, and now Hellraiser. And there's working for me. Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix. It's working for me really well. Pull it off now. Not everything has to be as over the top. Sometimes streamlining it back down is what it needs
to its core.
Yeah, like that's kind of why Prey worked. So they took it back to its core of the original film, the hunt, minimalist of it, that kind of things. And this one, I think they went to a deeper story for the characters, but they weren't trying to force the Cenobites in your face.
Correct.
You know, they just showed up like, she's not in the movie that much, but when she's there, it's impactful.
Correct. It's so good. And my favorite was there, and I liked the new design. And the story was good because of the cube transformation configurations.
And the whole thing of where it goes is kind of cool too.
Yes.
The obsessiveness of it. And now you didn't like the final scene of the movie.
I didn't. I thought it was kind of like.
I'm with you, but I dug it.
Perhaps it's the birth of something new, which is why I'm thinking maybe they'll continue on.
Well, also, if you look at, you can't see it in that photo very well, but the imagery you get in the last of the movie looks similar to the thing that's on her neck right here. That looks like it's part of the puzzle. Because if that's the other thing, you look, every single Cinnabon had a piece of that puzzle-looking cube thing on them.
Yeah.
But that kind of angelistic cross shape that we get at the end of the movie, it looks kind of like that. So it's almost like she was making a thing here. Yeah. So it's a scene that's kind of they didn't need to have the scene. The movie would have been just fine without it. But I also think as a fan, it was kind of cool getting to see it happen.
Correct.
So it's just one of those. But I dig this movie. It's on Hulu now.
Check it. Check 1, 2.
If you like Hellraiser, give it a shot.
There you go. All right. Next. Where to here? This is a complete random turn.
Huh?
Random turn here.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one is kind of a straightforward movie. It was the Idris Elba led film Beast.
Yes. So he takes his family to the wilds of Africa. And they're dealing with poachers on one end, and they're dealing with a giant, massive, crazy lion on the other.
And here's where my concern was for this movie. How long can you deal with just one lion attacking and make it work?
Exactly.
And now I dozed off while we were watching the movie, but I did go back and watch it while you were gone.
Oh, okay, good.
All the stuff that I kind of dozed off at. Not because I was bored, I was just tired. I actually really dug this movie, but there's some issues with it.
Yeah,
kids are annoying.
Yeah,
they make a lot of stupid decisions.
Yep.
There is an element you have to throw out the window of believability, especially in the end when Idris Elba has to fight the lion. Kind of, he would have been destroyed.
Correct.
But also the way they did it kind of works. You know, it's not it's a generic.
I've got this face.
I know. I thought it was a generic man versus nature kind of thing with not a lot brought to the table.
Yeah. I just, it was all right. I'm giving it a meh. It was fine. I think we started off well. Then we get to the whole lion thing, and part of it was good. The first half of the lion attacking and them on the run was good. But then, like you said, when we turn around and now we're trying to fight back, it doesn't really make sense.
I found myself really digging all the stuff with the lion because
I was really trying to.
I thought they did a good job with the CGI lion. I thought the way its mannerisms, the way they made it work, the intelligence level.
Yeah. And
I think had they not made that lion as aggressive and made it
was like crazy.
I think that's what makes it enjoyable. Even that final fight thing that is ridiculous, and you got to be like,
ridiculous.
It's just kind of the movie. It's still fun to watch because he's like getting thrown around and he's punching it, but it's still biting him. And we know he would have been gutted and lost legs, and and it's that typical thing you see in every movie where all the secondary characters get hit and killed in one swipe, but all the main characters live after 35 swipes.
Yeah.
You just have to buy into that kind of crap.
Yeah, it's not. I didn't particularly.
I enjoyed it more when I went back and finished it and rewatched the stuff I dozed off and watched it to the end. Then I was like, I actually kind of digging this. It's growing on me now.
People were talking about the CGI lion. I
thought the CGI looked good.
Yeah, they just didn't like it. I mean, it was okay. I would never watch it again. It's not going to be an Academy Award winning film.
No, absolutely
What
not.
I do appreciate is that we're in Africa and we're getting to see a lot of actual African people in a movie. So whenever we can get cultures of people in a movie doing something, that makes me happy because I'm hoping some of the money went to the country and helped them in some way. But the daughters are annoying.
My biggest issue with this movie,
don't have kids
when it comes from a story element. And I hate when they do this, is they crowbar in this sub story of dealing with family stuff and all this stuff.
To me, it was the poachers. Like, okay, we know the poachers exist.
Well, it's not even that. It was like crowbarring in the stuff about
their mom, the
daughters
and the mom. It was too, that's what I'm telling you. The kids were having
issues, and the girls, mad at her dad, and I'm like, and none of this has anything to do with the lion. They could have done this same vacation. Everybody could have been happy, and then the lion attacked, and everybody lost their mind. And they could have even still let the girl make bad decisions because, like, given a couple of her bad decisions ends up being good decisions. But the reality of it would have been like, what is your problem? Stop doing stupid things. But it's that part really got on my nerves was why am I getting all these sob stories? And I know that's their way of creating more story depth to try to give you some characters with a little deeper meaning characters that you want to care about, but I didn't. I just wanted to see Idris Elba punch a lion.
Well, and that's what he does.
That's all I cared about. That's my only. I would go back and watch
this. Whatever has been met.
I would watch this movie again just to watch those scenes of him and the lion fighting. If I could just have a button that says Idris versus lions and it just played all those scenes, and I would watch those over and over because they're fun. But as a whole, it can wear on you if you're.
It wore on me after the first half of it. Someone's like, forced family drama. The only good thing is Idris Elba punching a lion. So there you go. The internet agrees with you, my dear. It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you love Idris Elba, like,
and I want to applaud him for doing a movie like this because
he's doing something.
I love
different.
When you see people just do these kind of genre films because that's a genre movie. That's a popcorn flick. It's not
totally.
There's no depth to this movie that's going to change your life. I want to see a lion beat up some people and eat things.
There you go.
That's what we got. So it is what it is.
Well, that's what it was. So check it out. If you have not seen it yet, Beast. Where do I watch it? Do I have to watch it on?
It's on Blu-ray DVD. It's on Peacock.
Peacock, I think.
Or is it Paramount Plus? No, Peacock. It's on Peacock. Okay. It's on Peacock. I just told you.
All right.
It is available on Peacock.
All right. Next, I'm going to tell you about this movie I watched.
Oh, yes.
This was the Netflix movie 2 weeks ago. I would have talked about it last week, but I wasn't here. This is Luckiest Girl Alive, starring Mila Kunis.
Oh, is that some movie you watched for 7 years?
It took me 3 days to get through this movie just because I was busy, not because it's not good. It's actually a very good movie.
Okay. I was fixing to ask, it taking that long because it's not good? Or?
No, I kept getting interrupted. So the actual story here is she works at a very popular magazine, lives in New York, is marrying like this great guy. They're having this fancy Nantucket wedding. It's like everything's going great. And then suddenly a director is doing a crime documentary and they want her to tell her story of an incident that took place when she was in high school. And now this starts to unravel her whole life because she has just completely ignored that whole part of her life. And here you go. I don't want to necessarily spoiler this, but I better put the spoiler alert on there just in case, because there's two major things that happen to her. There is a school shooting and there was a gang rape. And she's at the center of all this. And essentially, they're saying she was involved as part of a revenge plot because of what happened to her.
Okay.
That's where we're at in the story. This was a great movie. And
was it?
Yes, I love Mila Kunis. And I love it because we start off the movie, life's going great. She's marrying this guy. Everything's happy. And you slowly see her start to unravel throughout the film. And I love it. I love her mom is the lady from, hold on, let me get there. Connie Britton. I love me some Connie Britton. But her mom's like the white trash lady, and she's marrying like this fancy, high-end Nantucket family. And so you have that going on. And so you have the dynamic of what happened to her personally, what happened at the school, her relationship with her mom, her relationship with her fiance, and her relationship with that family and that tier of trying to move up to that high-end lifestyle to forget everything of the past. And you see she's blocked it all out. She doesn't talk about it. And so when it starts to come undone, you see that there's this one guy telling his account of what happened. And she's like, that's not what happened at all. And so it becomes this thing of like, do you fight back or do you not? And I think this is a lot of what victims and or survivors, however you want to identify, of abuse or these mass shootings or rape or whatever they go through. And that's why people are, well, why didn't you say anything? It's been 10 years. But you don't sometimes know how to emotionally process that, especially if you're a teenager and people are telling you, oh, that didn't really happen.
Yeah.
So this is such an amazing movie. There are so many layers. There's so much depth to it. I can't even tell you, but I really, really like this movie, and I would put it in the top here. This is going to go in the top, along with Hellraiser. Because who knew I would love a Hellraiser movie so much? But oh my gosh, it's really a tremendous movie, and you just need to watch it. That's all I got to tell you right now.
Tell them.
Who knew? Jennifer Beals is in it.
I like Jennifer Beals.
I know you do. This guy I can't stand's in it, but he was good. Finn Wittrock, who plays all the creepy dudes in the other show, but such a good movie. Oh my gosh, who knew? I didn't even know that's where we were going, but I was like, I'm in. So check it out.
All right.
Love. Okay, tell me about this.
Okay, I have a couple that I want to tell you about.
Oh, okay. Well, start here, and then
this one I'm not going to go into. All of them I'll kind of go quick.
Okay.
Because there are a couple others that kind of came out this past week. So this latest was Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind, which is the third of the Marvel Mortal Kombat animated films. They did Scorpion's Revenge. I forgot what the other one was, but anyway. They're basically just animated universes dealing with the Mortal Kombat characters. And this one's a little different from the previous two, but it's a fun flick. It's got all the fighting. This one's more, instead of the tournament, it's you're in this post-apocalyptic world. So they put a different twist on some of the characters, and you got Kano running the world and people fighting back and whatever. So you get to see a lot of your favorite Mortal Kombat characters show up in different variations, and but it is very rated R. People getting their hearts ripped out, and they normally are rated on these movies. Flicks. So, but the latest one it's another fun one. If you like the first two animated flicks, it's a fun one. The other two films I want to tell you about is one is a documentary called Cypress Hill: Insane in the Brain.
Insane in the Membrane.
And that one? Yes. But it's basically a documentary about their career, and them coming up and their voice and what they went through, where they're at today. And I don't think a lot of people realize how unique and how impactful their sound was to hip hop. Yeah. Because it was something completely different. Mm-hmm. It not only was it not African American people, it was Hispanic people, and I think one of them is Dominican, and I don't remember if B-Real is Puerto Rican or if he's Mexican or El Salvador. Anyways, they're all Hispanic. And the unique sound they made and the things they did and how much impact you could get to hear from people like Ice-T and people like this talk about how much of an impact their career was. And then hear about when Sin Dog left the group, but Cypress Hill was still going, because Cypress Hill is essentially DJ Muggs, B-Real, and Sin Dog. And Sin Dog is the other rapper in it. There's one other guy, Boo or something, but he was kind of a producer, hype guy, I think. But I didn't even realize Sin Dog had left the group. Every CD, I always heard him on it. But hearing how he just got burned out and left, but they kept doing things, but then they brought him back together, and the creation of Dr. Green Thumb. So much happening here. Just different things that they did for their community, and how they grew as business people and how they grew as different things. It's just a really good documentary. Whether you're a fan, I'm a huge Cypress Hill fan, but whether you're a Cypress Hill fan or not, it's just interesting. It's one of those that I always tell people, this is not just hip hop history, it's music history. Mm-hmm. And hearing how they put the sounds together and how their sounds have influenced so many other things now, where you listen to, there's a lot of things that pop up that kind of sound like them, but they're still never what they sound like. Yeah. And their weird vibe, and the whole culture of Cheech and Chong meets rap. We all talk about Snoop Dogg being the pot guy. Yeah. Everybody, everybody will think Snoop Dogg, weed. But Cypress Hill's entire theme is weed. Right. That's what Dr. Green Thumb, as a character he created, B-Real created based on pot. He now has an entire business of weed called Dr. Green Thumb. That's crazy. And it's like his global business now. And but anyway, it's a great documentary. So if you like Cypress Hill or just like music history stuff, check out Cypress Hill: Insane in the Brain. The other one is the latest Scott Adkins movie, Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday. There you go. I also interviewed the directors for that movie this week. That is down there at the bottom as well. Okay, I'm posting links. It is a sequel to Accident Man, which is based on a comic book. I believe it's a European comic book. me double check really quick.
This one? Yeah, it is. This one?
Comic book, yeah. Pat Mills and Tony Scott. Yes, those are the two directors.
I'm posting links in the chat,
and,
guys.
Basically, the first movie, it's about a hitman. But what he does is when he kills people, he makes it look like an accident.
Oh, perfect.
So after the events of the last movie, he's left. It's kind of been blackballed because having to go against the people. And now he's living abroad. So this new one has a completely different tone. The first one's a little more serious. They're both badass martial arts flicks.
Yeah, of course.
This one has a little more of a Pink Panther meets, not the cartoon Pink Panther, the live action Inspector Clouseau movie.
Yes.
Meets Enter the Dragon. I don't know. There's all these layers because it's a lot of him fighting all these different assassins. All the way down to this, there's a clown assassin that feels no pain. It's like a bloody, gory fight, and it's got some badass fights. There's a chick in it that he's basically hired to just jump out and attack him periodically to make him stay on his toes, which is a direct homage to a sequence in the Pink Panther that he had this Asian guy that would jump out and attack him all the time.
Nice.
And I did confirm that with the directors that was in fact
that was what they were thinking.
They said yes, Scott was a fan of Pink Panther, was very insistent that movie that was in the movie. But if you just want a great martial arts flick, let's see Scott Adkins kick major ass in a lot of different martial arts styles and insanity, but it's also funny. This is the movie for you. So it's great. Go. Even my dad watched. I talked to him about it. He called me yesterday. He goes, me and your mom just watched that Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday. He goes, that movie is crazy. There's some great fights in that movie. It was hilarious, weird. My mom was like, what is going on in that movie?
See, your dad's like you. He likes good fights.
Yeah, so. He hasn't seen the first movie, but that's kind of the upside of this one. Is there's things you won't know why are they on the outs, but you don't really have to see the first one. But your dad's watching
the fights.
Yeah, so anyway, that's cool. Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday is awesome. It's available now. You can see our review as well as my interview with the directors. And what's cool about the directors is one of the set of brothers, Harry and George Kirby, I believe it was. George is a stuntman. He was Benedict Cumberbatch's stunt double for Doctor Strange. Wow. He's been in a lot of movies, and that's where he met Scott Adkins, was on Doctor Strange. Because remember, Scott Adkins is one of the bad guys' henchmen. And then they tried to work on something else. They do a lot of short films, I think, on K&K Productions on YouTube, like X-Men, Batman fan films.
Nice.
And so now this was their very first big feature.
That's cool.
It's really good. Them. So check it out.
All right.
So the last big one.
The last big one, my friend.
Yet another franchise, and this was a divisive one this week. Not between us necessarily, but with the world.
Yeah.
So this is another one like Hellraiser. It's a long, goes all the way back to 1978, which is Halloween. So I did a full marathon this week. I watched every single Halloween movie
ever.
Yeah, the Rob Zombie 2. I watched all the original series up to whatever 8 movies it was.
Wow.
Also Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Then of course there's the new trilogy. So we're not going to talk about all the old ones. But this new series, if you're not up to date with it, because I did ask somebody, what do you need to watch to see the new one? And I'm like, they hadn't seen
at least the trilogy.
They were like, they hadn't even seen past the first one. Do I need to see anything else to watch this new one? And I'm like,
oh my gosh. Was it who I think it was?
No.
Oh, thank goodness.
It was somebody else completely, but I'm sure they were planning to go see it. And I do know that person saw the last one because they went with us. They went with us. Kills. I don't know if they saw the one before that or not.
I watched just the new trilogy. So
the new trilogy takes place directly after, not directly, but years after the original film. So it's ignoring 2
which I feel we had just seen the original not too long ago for some reason.
Well, we watched it before we went and saw the one last year.
Oh, okay.
2 years ago, whatever.
Yeah, so I've seen the first, and then I watched these last 3.
Yeah, so you have Halloween 1978, then it jumps to Halloween 2018, I believe it is. Then Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends.
Yes,
Halloween
that's
Ends
what
being
I
the
watched.
new one. It's the new trilogy. So Halloween and Halloween Kills, those kind of all take place in the same night. They're kind of one long storyline. The new one, Halloween Ends, jumps 4 years later.
Correct.
We're dealing with the aftermath of not only the stuff from the previous movies, but also still dealing with the situations from 1978. So what was your feeling? There's been a big divisive situation on all these. A lot of people hated Halloween Kills. People had a lot of problems with it. A lot of people think this new one is just utter trash.
Wow.
Like I've heard some harsh things said about this new movie. I don't get it because the movie I watched was not that. But what is your thoughts on this new one?
I really enjoy this new trilogy. I'm gonna start with that because I did watch all three of them back to back, like fairly in like 2 days. I watched all three, and I liked it. I don't see a problem with it. In a way, I feel like I got what I was expecting with the new one. I totally did, because in my mind, that's how you finalize something but still leave the door open, is by doing what they did with that one character. You always have that transference of whatever, because in a way, evil doesn't die tonight. Evil never dies.
Yeah.
It just continues on, perhaps in a different form. But then the final showdown with our people, that's exactly what I thought it was going to be too. I got what I was expecting. I don't know what else people were expecting.
I did too on a lot of, I mean, there was a different direction I was hoping it was going to go, but I still got I still got a satisfying ending to what they gave me. Yes, I wanted their showdown to be a little longer, a little more intense.
Yeah.
But it's also because we've been waiting since 1978 to get it. You know, and it feels like
these people are old though.
5-10 minutes does not feel enough for a 40+ year threat. But I also understand, like, what I really, and I think there's a lot of people hated about this movie, is I like this movie is dealing with, this is probably has the, I don't know this for a fact, but it feels like it has the lowest body count in the movies in a long time of this kind of series. But it might be more on par with the original, because the original movie doesn't have a large body count.
Correct.
It's a slow burn.
It's more of a thriller.
Yeah, it's a slow burn thriller. It's not very scary. It's not gory at all. But it is, you know, you freak out. It's creepy.
Yeah.
But I think the dealing with the PTSD, dealing with recovery, dealing with acceptance, but also dealing with public outcry, perceptions of you because you were involved.
That's the thing right there.
You know, there's a whole subplot thing in this movie of people blaming Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, for everything because she's the survivor of him, and because he's trying to kill her and these other people die, it's her fault.
And I feel like if you look at the horror genres at the time, and your scream queens and your survivors, I feel like they've become more intelligent as time has gone on.
Yeah.
You know, and at the beginning, you just had your slasher chick, but then you get into a scream where your slasher chick survivor becomes more aware and fights back, all the way now to a Laurie Strode where, we now see the full circle of, now we're dealing with issues. We're dealing with the trauma. We're dealing with the PTSD. We're seeing what happened to her own family.
Well, you get to see,
you're seeing what happened to the community.
You get to really see an evolution of her.
Yes.
Because you see the first one where she's a child. She's 18, 19 years old, whatever she is. And she's just an innocent child who's terrified and survives. And then when we meet her back in the new Halloween, she's now this borderline crazed, obsessed thing with her whole life is involving waiting for him to come back to kill him.
Yes,
capture him.
She's living on a level that's just insane.
Yeah, she
From
is
the
now
outside in.
Yeah, the world doesn't exist around her. It's like, the only thing she wants is for Michael Myers to come back so she can kill him. And then,
she says it.
You know, and she gets her wish. Things don't go necessarily the way she wants. The second one with Halloween Kills was more about the community fighting back. And I think that pissed a lot of people, got mad that there was no Laurie versus Michael Myers in Halloween Kills.
But I think it was indicative of the time in which we live, because that's exactly what happens. It starts off as a good cause, and then it turns into a mob.
Well, you also have to look at the fact that, yes, Laurie Strode is the longest surviving person of the story, but there were a lot of these other people that got killed were not just her family members. You know, the sheriff's daughter and all these different friends of hers and people
all the different neighbors, John that lived in the house.
Haddonfield itself was a victim.
Yes, the entire town
Halloween
suffered.
Kills was, we're tired of this shit.
Yeah.
And they rose back up, and then mob mentality took over, and mob mentality never works.
No.
It makes horrible mistakes, and it bites them in the ass. And this new movie, I felt, was trying to set up recovery for not only Laurie, but for Haddonfield.
Yeah. Well,
but it's also showcasing
what happens,
what breeds evil.
Correct.
And it's the behaviors of the aftermath of things that happen.
Yeah. So this gets into this whole discussion that you and I have had recently as we've been watching this, what's his name document, the Dahmer documentary. He's like, are people just evil? Are they made that way? Do we make them that way by treating them a certain way? And by trying to help someone and connect with them, are we breeding it even further? I mean, in this one, you have this one kid that seems to be bullied relentlessly, and he just kind of like snaps. But is that true? Or are people already like that and we're just building it?
I think both. I think both things are true. I think
so.
The things that happen to people in their lives do determine what they do, and their own mentality and their support determines how they handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've seen people come from very abusive, horrible lives and built a beautiful life.
Yes.
But you've also seen same types of people built those same lives become what they hated.
So it's circumstance and how you're treated.
Yeah, but it's also who they connect with later that's there to hold their hand. Like I saw an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis talking about the importance of mental health, of people getting help.
Yeah.
Because she's like, she used the movies because there was a whole thing with Kanye West making these anti-Semitic comments, and she went to war with him on Twitter.
So weird.
And because he came up something about, and I'm not going to go into the craziness of Kanye West, but she talked about how this series is a woman who goes through trauma.
Yeah.
A woman who has never been treated for any of this trauma, who is the first Halloween movie, the first two movies, the trauma, then the second one, she's never been treated, so she only has her obsession. Into Halloween Kills, which is a town that's never had help.
Correct.
To the 4-year jump when we finally see Laurie in this new movie, she's happy. She's living a normal life.
She's had therapy.
She's fixed her hair.
Yes.
She looks normal. She looks like the Laurie that we see at the beginning of the original Halloween.
A connected life, where in the past she was so isolated on her compound. She's trying to now connect.
You see the young Laurie at the beginning of the original Halloween as an adult woman now.
Yes. That
we probably would have gotten had none of this stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still in the back of her mind. She still worries about it. There's still trauma. There's still, but we talk about this. She's gotten some counseling and you can see recovering. The same thing with the town. A lot of the people in the town seem to be doing okay, but there's some of them that haven't let it go. There's some of them, there's anger. Some of it's fear. There's a new set of trauma that shows up in this film that kind of sets it up.
Yeah.
That becomes a parallel for the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, what's very different about this movie is this movie is not just a slasher flick. There's so many underlying
layers to it. That's why I'm telling you, horror has evolved and has become smarter and it's become more intellectual. So even like in the Scream when he's like, "What's your favorite scary movie?" She's like, "Oh, I like Babadook because it's such a good," But that's where we're at with horror.
Yeah.
I love the slasher thing. Don't get me wrong. I love me some blood and guts, but I do appreciate the story has layers, and maybe it's too much for people. They just wanted a straight up slasher. Let's just duke it out and fight it out, which is fine. But that's not this movie anymore. I think it's evolved, especially since we've been going since the 70s. It has to evolve. We've evolved as a society.
Well, and I think
so.
I
kept up.
I've read some people, and I never argue people's opinions because I think everybody's opinion is their own.
Perfectly fine.
I don't agree when somebody's
hateful
to
the people,
but like I saw somebody posted, they were very excited to watch it, and then they posted about how they thought this movie was just utter trash. There's no story, there was no direction, it was all over the place, and it did nothing to develop anything. It was just a disgrace to the franchise. And I'm like, I don't understand what people want, other than do you just want Michael Myers running around killing again? But then when that happens, they're like, there's no story to this movie.
Yeah, there's no development.
It's like this movie is nothing but character development, in my opinion.
And I think even from the Michael Myers side.
Yes.
Because he is completely changed and different.
Yeah, and this is a different version. And then that might be the thing, too, is people didn't really like. There's a little bit of a supernatural element brought into this.
But there always
not
is.
Not in a magical, over-the-top way.
But they even said that in the last movie, he's just the embodiment of pure evil.
Yes.
Okay.
Which that's been a running theme in every one of these Halloween movies past the first one.
So you're giving me supernatural there.
Every time they've gone to explain Michael Myers, it always ends up being a supernatural element of, there was the cult story at one point. There's other ones, like,
I don't know.
As much as most people hate the Rob Zombie Part 2, which I still like, there's the whole thing of his just mental problem is seeing his mom, and he just wants to be with his mom, and he's crazed, and it's what he's seeing or what we think he's seeing. It's like there's so many different layers of vision of what they're dealing with that I was worried because I knew that element was in this film.
Yeah.
The element I was hoping was going to be there. Did I tell you about the rumor connecting it to Halloween 3?
To the witch?
Yeah. It isn't true, so I'm going to tell you now. It is not factual. So
should I do a spoiler alert?
No, it's not really a spoiler.
It's just anti-spoiler alert.
Yes, because it's basically just a rumor.
I'm going to throw it on there just in case.
If you haven't seen season 3, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, it's the only movie in the franchise that has nothing to do with Michael Myers.
It's not a Michael Myers
because
movie.
They were originally, I don't know if you know this or not, but they were originally only supposed to be one Michael Myers movie.
Is this the one where they're running around the city in the car trying to get to the store?
This one about the masks.
Yeah, trying to get to that
store.
I
love Season of the Witch. Okay. It's so good. But the whole idea was John Carpenter wanted to make each Halloween movie be its own story.
An independent story that happens on Halloween.
Yeah, fans clamored for Michael Myers, so they agreed to make the second one. And then I believe he technically kills Loomis in the second movie.
Correct.
On purpose, because he was hoping they couldn't bring it back. But then after Halloween 3 didn't do well, they came back with the return of Michael Myers and they brought Loomis back.
Yeah.
But John Carpenter hasn't been involved in any of them until this new series.
Yeah.
Because he liked the way he did the music for the new ones again. He liked where they were going with the idea. But in Halloween Kills, there's 3 kids, the 3 annoying kids on the swing set that were being assholes.
Yes.
They're wearing the masks from Season of the Witch. So there was a theme that everybody was hoping that maybe this whole thing was Michael Myers' mask was caused by the mask that's made from the
like it was made from evil.
But alas, it wasn't.
Oh well.
So I really dug this movie. It's as I said, it's not exactly what I was wanting and what I was hoping for, but I think it still worked. I think it's impactful. I think it is. I can see it divisive nature because it's not the kind of movie you probably think about when you watch a Halloween slasher flick.
Correct.
But I had the same vision of the second one too. I know a lot of people hated Halloween Kills. I saw it for what it was, which was the uprising of the town and the fury of Michael. That was a pissed off Michael Myers in the second one. And I loved it for that. And I know a lot of people hated it just the same way for the opposite side. So
I really liked this one. It was what I was expecting. So I'm not let down. But I also try to go into most movies not knowing anything. So I don't expect too much. Because that's when I am let down.
I mean, if you ever want to just watch Halloween Resurrection, and then you'll
know what a bad Halloween movie is.
The only good thing about that movie is Busta Rhymes beating up Michael Myers.
But that makes no sense.
It doesn't. It's Busta Rhymes.
All right.
Because he bust your ass.
All right. Anyways.
That LL Cool J.
Halloween ends. I liked that I could watch it on Peacock since I wasn't near a theater.
But I will say that I think it was a bad business decision because the movie didn't do as well at the box office as it probably could have. I know they did it on purpose because they wanted to make sure everybody could watch it. I know Jamie Lee Curtis has been full on promotions, even promoting it was going to be on Peacock. I think this is this is the second time that they've not killed her, but ended her storylines for Halloween franchise. She was killed in Halloween 6 or 7.
But then came back in H2O.
She was killed in Resurrection.
And came back in H2O?
No, H2O was before.
Oh, okay.
She came back in H2O. We thought she was dead.
Right.
Because they said something about she killed herself or whatever. Then we found out in H2O that she had actually changed her name and was now living somewhere else and had a son that was named Josh Hartnett. And even though, but she did not want to do Resurrection. She thought it was horrible. So she agreed to do it because she had a contract with under the understanding that they would kill her off. So she dies at the beginning of Resurrection. And so, but it was kind of it wasn't a fair ending for an iconic character. So I think this trilogy did a great job of bringing Laurie Strode back with a purpose. I think it did a good thing for the Halloween franchise. And what's interesting is there's so many directions of the franchise that you can watch.
I agree.
I saw somebody post a picture of their different versions of what story you want to watch.
Right.
So you can watch Halloween 1, 2, and then through these 3.
Yeah.
You watch the 2 Rob Zombie ones.
Yeah.
You have Season of the Witch by itself.
Correct.
You can watch up through 6 or whatever. Then you can get rid of those. Then you can watch 1 and 2 and then just jump to H2O.
Yeah.
And then Resurrection. So there's like different branches of
it's fun.
Multiverse.
There you go, of Halloween.
That you can watch to enjoy these. So it does come down to we have 12, 13, however many films.
There's an option
watch
for
the ones you like.
That's what we do.
I love every single one of them, even though they're horrible bad, because I like watching Michael Myers kill things.
There you go.
So, but I give big props to Danny McBride and David Gordon Green for these movies and bringing them back, doing it justice, giving it respect. And this is the end of Jamie Lee Curtis. She says she is not playing this character anymore. She was done. This was kind of her retirement. She even signed a funny contract on Jimmy Kimmel. about not playing the character anymore.
Nice.
But we all know this character will come back in some form at some point. Somebody will reboot it. Someone will do something with it. And I'm fine with that. Just let this one be the end.
Okay, there you go.
So it is available now in theaters and on the Peacock.
All right.
You can watch Beast and Halloween Ends double feature. There you go.
All right. Tell me what's coming out over there.
This week. Or do you want your Halloween movies first?
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll do real quick. We're not going to dwell on it. Why don't you tell everybody yours?
Okay, so my pick, this is not exactly the one, but this is what I have. So I actually prefer the original Swedish version, but this is the movie Let Me In. This is the one with Chloe Grace on this one. The one I really like is the original Swedish version, Let Dan Raka Come On, which is Let the Right One In. But the Swedish version where we had to read the subtitles, it was a great movie. It's the one where it's this boy who's bullied, and his only friend is this little girl that he finds out on the swings in the middle of the night, who happens to be a vampire.
And there's also a new series I do want to watch.
Yes, but check out the original version if you can find it. Then the
remake was not bad.
This one's fine.
I don't remember it well, but I remember
the original one because that girl was so good. Anyways, that's my one.
It's the girl with the dragon tattoo all over again.
Yes.
You watch the Swedish versions and
those are the best.
Those are awesome.
The
remake is really good, but it is nothing with Rodham Mitchell or whatever. Not Rodham Mitchell.
Rumi. No.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
The original Swedish versions are the way to go with that.
Oh yeah, that's Romy Nepes.
Romy Nepes is the original ones. And watch those. The other one's fine, but the original ones are the way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
Well, I'm going to go with, since it's already sitting on the table, it's not a single movie, I'm going to go with the Paranormal Activity franchise, which they put out, and I'm doing it because they put out this very cool box set that actually has all the movies in the franchise.
That's a lot of movies.
Including Next of Kin that only premiered on Paramount Plus, and it's never been released individually. So the only way you can get it if you want to see it is through this nice little box set here. I know these are divisive movies. This is kind of like the Yeah, there's some people that love the first one and they hated most of the ones after that. I know they're not all great, but I enjoyed them all. This
is a lot of movies.
Yeah, well, this was just like the Saw franchise for a while, that every October a new one came out. So it was like it became a thing that once the first one did well and they made I think it was after the second one, October, a new Paranormal Activity movie was coming. October, a new Saw movie was coming. And they kind of, I looked for them. I saw every one of them in the theater. I was probably one of the few that everybody made the big stink about. I saw the first one after the hype. Everybody had been talking about it, how it was the most terrifying movie they'd seen. They were scared and people were freaking out. Oh my God. And I went and saw it. I'm like, huh.
It was scary.
And I thought it was a great movie, but I didn't think it was scary at all.
I thought it was.
But
that's why I've only seen that first one. I've never seen it.
But this is another one. I actually think you might find it clever because it's very much like Saw, where the second one is a sequel and prequel.
Am I going to have to draw a sheet again?
Yeah.
I have my Saw sheet.
The second one is like a sequel and a prequel. The third one, I believe, is just straight up prequel.
My Saw sheet.
The fourth one is kind of its own thing, I believe, but it's still connected. Then you get into a spin-off, the marked ones, which deals with the Hispanic culture and their thing of ghosts and whatnot.
There's a lot of those.
And then they decided to connect it back to the original stuff.
I'm telling you, I'm going to draw a spreadsheet.
Ghost Dimension was another one that was kind of its own thing. Next of Kin goes completely off the rails and is totally not connected to the other ones, but it is in its own way. And Next of Kin kind of, per Blum, Jason Blum of Blumhouse, I think he said, though, I think we kind of ran its course. And I don't think he's really happy with the Next of Kin. I thought Next of Kin was really good, but it is nothing. So I'm going to go with Paranormal Activity just because there's also a great documentary about the making of all these. And I also find it super impressive to what they took from a original $15,000 movie that made almost $200 million, if not more, and became a global franchise that's still doing its thing. Yeah. And it's all found footage. They found really smart ways. And the documentary talks about how important it was to figure out. They talk about the crap that I complain about on found footage movies, and I'm sure other people complain about it. I was like, why would you be holding a camera while somebody's dying and keep holding it while you're trying to help them? And, they talk about how their whole thing was, how do they make this make sense for these cameras? And there's even one of the movies they talked about how they install all these security cameras in the house, and nobody believed the audience would believe that these people knew how to install security cameras. So they had a guy come in who's an actual security camera installer and explain it, and they filmed it. and put it in the movie of the guy explaining it to them to do it, and then the guy did it, and so then it's like, okay, so anyway. So I'm going with this, and this new set, Paranormal Activity, it's the, what do they call it? The Ultimate Chills Collection is available now from Paramount, so check it out.
All right. So tell me about that.
This week, there's a bevy of things coming out this week.
So much random things.
Orphan First Kill is getting the Blu-ray DVD treatment. The movie Fall, which is about the two girls that are on that tower.
Oh my gosh, it looks so scary. I have not seen it.
Which I found, we haven't seen the movie yet, but I was reading the thing that they actually filmed them on they wanted to be on the tower thing, but obviously they had to do safety and they wanted realistic. So they built a tower. I want to say they were about 100 feet off the ground. They put that tower on top of a mountain. So it makes them look like they're way up. So they could shoot it and they weren't as far off the ground, but create that illusion.
Oh my gosh, I'm scared
The movie Rumble, the animated feature, which is about the kaiju wrestling fighting, which is a fun little movie. Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, which is basically an animated samurai animal version of Blazing Saddles. E.T. the Extraterrestrials getting a 4K treatment. La Llorona,
another one,
is getting the Criterion Collection release.
Oh, okay.
The movie Bodies, which we'll talk about next week. Then there's a new DC animated feature called Batman and Superman Battle of the Super Sons, which is Robin, Damian Wayne, I'm assuming, and Superman's son.
Wow.
And Bullet Train is getting the 4K Blu-ray DVD release. And I think those are the big things this week.
All right. Coming out at the theater or online?
Also The Flash, the complete 8th season. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So coming out on Tuesday, October 18th, coming to video, demand, and digital, is a documentary that looks really interesting. It's called Beyond the Neon. It's about this girl who's searching for her sister and finds out she's working as an escort in Vegas. She hires a film crew to go with her, and they're secretly trying to capture the reunion. And basically, it says it takes us into the dangerous, corrupt world of escorting and sex trafficking in Las Vegas. So it seems really interesting how they would do this. It says based on true accounts. All right. Also, video, demand, and digital, The Loneliest Boy in the World. It's this boy who makes some friends and then discovers they're zombies.
I'll do it.
Also coming to video, demand, and digital, 3 Wishes for Cinderella. This is a Scandinavian version of Cinderella. So it's going to be a musical, from what I can understand. It stars Scandinavian pop star Astrid Simplasa. So there you go. Coming out on Wednesday to Netflix is the Netflix movie this week, The Stranger. This is the one, it's a group of undercover cops that create their own little fake criminal network to try and catch this murderer who they know is guilty, but has been evading arrest for several years. It's got Joel Edgerton, Sean Harris, Thomas Wright. I don't know who these people. So it looks like a cool crime thriller. So I think it'll be a good movie on Netflix. Coming out on Thursday, this is one for you, VHS 99.
This is like the 5th movie in the franchise, I believe.
Of the VHS movies?
Yeah.
It's coming out on Shudder. So if you have Shudder, that's where you're going to watch this.
Because we have VHS, VHS 2, VHS Viral, and VHS 84.
Are these scary movies?
They're anthology kind of horror, sci-fi.
I love those.
But they all connect with, usually like they find VHS tapes and then they play the tapes and there's a sub-story connecting them. And they're all, each segment is directed by a different person.
Yeah, so this one says, in VHS 99, a teenager's home video leads to a series of horrifying revelations. Yeah. So I'm going to see, it's probably different things. I love that kind of stuff.
They're fun. They're fun little movies.
Okay, coming out Friday in theaters, Ticket to Paradise. This one's probably going to be a big draw. It's the big Julia Roberts and George Clooney movie where they're going to stop their daughter from getting married, but hilarity ensues pretty much. So I think that's going to be a big one. Coming to Netflix, The School for Good and Evil. Kids are kidnapped and forced into this new school of good and evil where they are trained to be fairy tale heroes or villains or princesses. Very like
Harry Potter-ish.
Yeah, it looks interesting. So we'll see. Let me see what else is coming on before we get to the big ones.
Scroll back up because I'll be talking about that one. The Banshees of Inisherin. That's one of the ones I saw the other day.
Okay, what's it about?
Oh, that's the one with Colin Farrell.
And
it's about 2 friends in Ireland that
are they very are the accents heavy?
Yes. Well, Colin Farrell gets to be
Colin Farrell. Says
it's
awkward time in the relationship.
Yeah, basically the simple idea is Gleason. What is his name? Gleason.
Brendan Gleason.
Gleason. He just suddenly decides he doesn't want to be Colin Farrell's friend anymore. Yeah. And he's just like, I don't. And then there's no rhyme or reason, so it ensues into this wacky thing. But it's a crazy movie.
Okay.
I'll talk about it next week.
Coming to Apple TV Plus, Raymond and Ray, the story of two half-brothers that reunite at their father's funeral. That looks interesting. It's Ethan Hawke and Ewan McGregor. So, yes. I'm all about both of them. Yes, I love them. They're both great. Coming to Hulu, the movie Matriarch. It says she's afflicted by a mysterious disease and she returns to a child home to find comfort, but instead the demons of that time and that place start to take over. Let's see what else is coming out.
Pretty much it.
There's this little movie that you might be interested in coming to theaters called Black Adam. It stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and it seems like something about Marvel. I don't know.
It's DC.
Is it DC?
Yes.
But why is it saying Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel
is DC's.
That's Shazam.
Okay.
Captain Marvel is Shazam.
Why don't they just say Shazam?
Because
Shazam.
Okay, so I'll give you a quick rundown.
All these Marvel. So
now
confusing.
in the comic, his name is Shazam now.
It is now.
But in the original comic, his name was Captain Marvel.
What were all the people
He said
called?
Shazam.
Yes, to
turn into Captain Marvel.
Correct.
And Shazam is a acronym. Is that the right word?
Yes.
And each one of those names are the names of the different gods. So like Z is Zeus.
I gotcha.
I don't know who all them.
Right.
Apollo and whatever,
Yes.
Okay. But because of the Marvel things and everything else,
yes,
they've actually, that was kind of on purpose.
Oh.
But I think something actually happened recently. It was actually more in the last few years, not like years ago that it changed.
I gotcha.
And now the book is actually called Shazam. And
so in this universe, then, do Captain Marvel or Shazam have anything to do with Black Adam? Are they related?
Black Adam is Shazam's arch enemy.
Oh, okay.
So in the comics, Black Adam is Shazam's Joker.
Oh, okay.
Or Lex Luthor to Superman.
Yes, I gotcha. Okay,
so that's why it was kind of weird to give Black Adam a movie by himself. I've always felt this is a very awkward decision. But Black Adam was also a character, to my knowledge, limited knowledge of the character. He was also kind of an anti-hero kind of. He wasn't necessarily a bad guy, but he did tend to join like the Justice Society of Evil and all that kind of bad guy stuff. He's very Dr. Doom-like. He runs a country and his big thing is you stay out of my country.
I see.
And that kind of thing. So
should we go watch the Shazam movie to prepare for this?
We can, but I don't think
we don't know.
If they eventually are going to have to meet. If they don't meet, then they're just
I think
stupid.
We just do it to be prepared.
I know Mr. The Rock's plan is he wants Black Adam to face off against Superman, and he wants Henry Cavill playing Superman.
I would too.
Because
he was great.
Because they have faced off. And I think just the mentality of Superman versus Black Adam.
Can you mention too,
so there's a big thing with that. This movie also looks to introduce the Justice Society, which you see in the commercials, which is Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, and those kind of characters. So I believe...
I think there's a lot of good things.
We won't know until we see the movie, but I believe one of the things that this movie may be also doing is rebooting the DC universe. Because I think... Aquaman is still happening. Wonder Woman, I don't know if we're getting Wonder Woman 3 or not yet. What is the other one that did really well? Wonder Woman, Aquaman. Oh, we got the Flash movie coming, but that movie's going to probably get kind of come and go.
Upsetting.
It's too bad. They canceled a lot of the others, so they canceled Batgirl. We're still getting Blue Beetle. So I think they're going to use this movie because he's been very vocal. And The Rock's been trying to make that movie for 15 years.
Wow.
And I think he's been very vocal, and his catchphrase for this entire promotion thing is the face of the DC universe is about to change. And I think he's very instrumental in what's happening.
Because, I'm telling you, their animated features are on point.
Yeah.
If they can get it into live action,
their Wonder Woman and Aquamans are really the only ones in the Justice League Snyder Cut. But they're now... Warner Brothers with this new idiot, whoever's running Warner Brothers and the sale to Discovery Plus, whatever.
That was so upsetting.
He's all but said we should have never released a Snyder Cut that doesn't exist.
It's the best. So it makes more sense.
I know, but
oh well, doesn't matter.
They're still trying to stick by the Joss Whedon one that's not as good.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well,
we'll talk about it next week.
He's disappeared under a rock somewhere.
Who?
Joss Whedon.
Well, after his allegations, he had to.
He had to.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So we'll be watching Black Adam this weekend, is basically what I'm hearing.
Sorry,
all right.
I didn't mean to go off on a
all right. So tell me about the contest. So I'm going to make them big on the screen.
A bunch of new stuff mostly. Finally, we've got digital copies of Beast.
Nice.
That's why I wish you badmouthed it. You can watch it.
I didn't badmouth. I just didn't particularly.
You attacked Idris Elba because he was black.
Wow, I love Idris Elba because he's black.
You love him because he's black?
Yes. Look at that. Look at that beautiful chocolate man.
That was a weird statement. Now he's chocolate. We also have copies of Mortal Kombat.
Sorry, was that rude?
We also have a copy of Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind to give away.
My bad.
I have a couple copies of the DC League of Super Pets, starring whatever his name is. The Rock and Kevin Hart.
Best friends for life.
Yes.
I'm in the middle of it.
Also this weekend, I believe the next movie, Easter Sunday, that we have, the Joe Coy movie. I think that also comes out this week on Blu-ray and DVD.
You guys, this is such a good movie.
Yeah.
Love it.
We have copies of 8-Bit Christmas to give away, which I don't know if you remember that one or not.
Yes,
the one with Neil Patrick Harris and the Nintendo. It's a fun Christmas flick. And lastly, The Witch 2, the other one, which it's a sequel to The Witch.
Okay.
Subversion, I believe it's called, which you've seen, but I don't think you remember. So we'll probably watch it.
Yeah, I'm sure I don't.
It's like a martial arts sci-fi action flick. So
all right. Well, that's it.
That's what's happening.
Thank you so much for watching. It was a long show. Thank you for sticking with it.
It actually wasn't as long as I thought it would be for the amount of stuff we had.
I know. So you can skip ahead. We should put on the YouTube, where you can time it.
Yeah,
we should.
I'll let Mel know. And
we should put time blocks on it. Anyways, thank you so much. We will see you next week for another episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Check out the website. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
We'll see you next week with an all new episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Peace out, y'all.